And I said, no. I said, my dad's a big, strong guy, but he's very gentle. And I think he probably would be afraid, to hurt us if he were to be the disciplinarian. It's just not in his nature. He's a sweet guy. Have you ever betrayed a friendship? And I remember how I responded. I said, ooh.
Now, here's the question, though. You're thinking about that, even that hypothetical, because you're not there. It's a hypothetical.
Right.
But you are thinking about it in the context of being a CIA spy paid by the government literally to have carte blanche in some ways to do things like this for national security implications.
That's
and
right.
I say that because if you're like, of course, I'd go in there and steal it, and they're like sociopathic tendencies. My one thing about this is, if they were someone else not working for the CIA and they were painting this situation and it was just a regular, American job and it had nothing to do with national security, would you ever say something like that or even think something like that is okay?
I'm embarrassed to say that, yes, I would think that way. And I'll tell you, when I went to Deloitte.
God, you were perfect.
Oh, man.
Until the torture stuff, you were great.
When I went to Deloitte, we had this mandatory ethics class.
Oh, no.
And I'm like, okay, that's fine. I mean, well, how old was I when I went to Deloitte? I was 40 something.
Yeah.
Whatever.
40s.
Yeah, 40. I was 40. So they're like, let's say you've got this, this Japanese company and you're on the brink of signing a big deal. It's a $50 million deal, but PricewaterhouseCoopers, they made a bid. It undercuts us by $4 million. And one of the Japanese says, hey, why don't we meet up at a strip club? What do you say? And I said, let me go to the bank and get $200 in singles. And they're like, what? No, that's exactly what you don't say.
But this is also after your career, though. Would you have said that before your career?
No, probably not.
See, there you go. See, then point being, like, you played in the Super Bowl your whole career.
Yeah.
And now, even though you're getting paid a lot, it's Deloitte and Touche, big, huge company.
Big, yeah.
This is like a high school football game compared to that, but you're still in your mind thinking like it's a Super Bowl. So fuck it, let's go to the strip club, see some titties, and get some information.
Absolutely not. No. And then my boss comes up to me, he's like, hey, the ethics people called me. I said, oh, relax. I'm not taking anybody to a strip club. Jeez. But anyway, getting back to the application process.
Well, what happens when he tells you that and you're like, yes, like down in that classroom? Is there like a secret tunnel that goes under DC and they take you to Langley there?
Almost. Figuratively. So I'm sitting in his office, and do you know what a Rolodex is?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, well, I thought maybe you're too young to know what a Rolodex is.
Listen, I still use that phrase, my Rolodex.
My Rolodex. Yeah. So he had a Rolodex on his desk, and he's flipping through the Rolodex, and I remember seeing Oliver North home, and it had a number. And I was like, who is this guy? He's got
I don't know.
I mean, Oliver North had just been convicted, right, from Iran-Contra. Yeah. So he calls this guy Bob, and he says, Bob, it's Jerry. I've got a good one for you. And he says, okay, bye-bye. And he hangs up. And he says, I need for you to go to this address in Roslyn, which is right across the river in Arlington, Virginia, and go to this address and ask for Bob. I said, okay. So it's only one metro station. Took me a minute. So I get over there. Totally nondescript building that doesn't exist anymore. It's been torn down. And I go up to the 6th floor, and there's a security guard up there. And I said, I'm here to see Bob, and he points at a door. So I go in, and I buzz the buzzer, and they buzz me in, but it's into a little vestibule that's like 6 by 6. And the second door has this big spin lock, like in a bank. But a woman opens the door. She just pokes her head out, and she says, are you here for Bob? And I said, yes. So she lets me in. So I'm sitting there for a minute, and this enormous guy, he had to be 6'6", 6'7", 350, comes bounding out of the office. Are you John? Yes. I'm Bob. How the hell are you doing? Hey, great. Nice to meet you. Come on in here. Have a seat. So I sit down. He says, Jerry says you're good. And if Jerry says you're good, then you're good with me. So here's what I want you to do. He says, I want you to go to George Washington University Medical School Auditorium Saturday morning at 8. We're going to give you some tests, and then you'll hear from me. I said, okay.
And that was it.
I left. So I go to GW Medical School Auditorium Saturday morning at 8. There are like 300 people in there. And they gave us 3 tests. The first one was a map of the world, and it was completely blank. So you had to write the names of all the countries. But I said in my first book, I was a map nut from when I was a little kid.
Yeah, me too.
So that was just fun, just fill it all out. There are a couple in West Africa that always hang me up, like Guinea-Bissau and, Guinea-Conakry and stuff like that. But I pretty much did the whole world. And then there was a current events test. It was A, B, C, or D. And it was so simple as to be kind of embarrassing, right? And then the third one was thousands of questions. But you just had to write agree or disagree. There's a box. Agree, disagree. And it was stuff like, I would like to conduct a symphony orchestra. Who cares? But there was one that said, I like boxing. And I, honest to God, don't really have an opinion on boxing. But
Even to this day?
Yeah. To this day, I would say, yes, I like boxing.
Okay.
MMA has made it more exciting.
I think you're right about that.
Yeah. But at the time, I was just nuts for Mike Tyson because he had just come out. He was young. He was a beast. Nobody could last more than a round or two. It was amazing. So I think I wrote agree. But then like 600 questions later, it says, I like boxing. And I was like, ooh, what did I say the first time?
And you can't go back.
It's like, I think I said yes. And then another 1,000 questions later, it says, I like boxing. So I don't know. So I was the first one to finish out of these 300 people. And the rector said, you sure you're done? And I said, yeah, I'm done. I finished everything. I called my wife to come get me. I get in the car. She goes, how did it go? I said, I have no idea.
You were married?
I had just gotten married. I was 23.
Is this your first wife?
Mm-hmm.
Right. Okay. So there's another one later. Got it.
Yeah. So I went home. I had no idea how I did. Like a week or two later, Bob calls me. He goes, you blew the doors off those tests. It was amazing. I said, oh, great. He goes, here's what I want you to do. I want you to go to this address in Vienna, Virginia, and just knock on the door. I said, that's it? Yeah. I said, okay. So I drive to Vienna, Virginia, this little squat 2-story building. You'd never know it was there. Nobody would pay any attention to it.
That's how they like it.
Yep. Park my car, knock on the door. This lady answers. Are you John? Yes. Come on in. So I go in. There's a table set up, and there are 3 people on one side of the table, and there's a chair for me on the other. So on the one side, it was a psychiatrist, a psychologist, and an anthropologist, which was odd.
Guys, if you're still watching this video and you haven't yet hit that subscribe button, please take 2 seconds and go hit it right now. Thank you.
You'd expect maybe a sociologist, but no, this was an anthropologist. So I sit there, and one of them says, describe your relationship with your mother. And I said, yeah, my mom and I are close. She was very nurturing and always encouraged me and, drove me around to Little League and whatever. Was your father the disciplinarian in the family? And I said, no. I said, my dad's a big, strong guy, but he's very gentle. And I think he probably would be afraid, to hurt us if he were to be the disciplinarian. It's just not in his nature. He's a sweet guy. Have you ever betrayed a friendship? And I remember how I responded. I said, ooh, I don't think so. Ooh. I said, let me think about it for a second. And they go, no. That's what we were looking for. I said, oh, okay. And then one of them says, go into the next room. We're going to take some hair, some blood, and some piss, and then you can go home. I said, okay. So I gave him some hair, some blood, and some piss. I got home again. My wife's like, how'd it go? I said, I have no idea.
Could you tell, did they say anything about not saying anything to your wife about who you were talking to, though?
They told me I could tell my wife, but not anybody outside of that.
Tell her that it was CIA.
Yeah, I couldn't tell anybody. Just in case.
But they let you tell her.
Yeah, they let me tell her. They give you some wiggle room with your spouse. But they also strongly encourage agency romances.
Yes.
Strongly, which,
They got like a
leads to
kickball
their
league and
its
everything.
Everything. Everything from an LGBTQ club to quilting to gospel singing. Yeah.
Gospel singing.
Oh, listen, I was in the CIA softball league for like 8 years.
Wow.
Yeah. Where literally every team is just CIA people.
You dress up in like the black site uniforms?
Oh, crazy. Yeah, pretty much. Crazy.
So you're allowed to tell your wife about this though, and that's like after you're
About
done
the
the
process.
questioning. After you're done the questioning right there, they're like, go home again?
Yeah, just go home. So Bob calls me. He's like, oh my God, it was great. You blew the doors off. I said, okay. I said, honestly, Bob, and I still don't know who Bob was. I don't even know if his name really was Bob.
Probably not.
I think because he was Jerry Post's contact, he was the head of HR, like the actual head of HR.
Head of HR.
Yeah, for the CIA. But I don't know. Nobody ever told me. So he said, 2 more steps. He said, your next step is you're going to go to CIA headquarters, and there are 4 offices that are interested in interviewing you. And then if 1 or more decide they want to make an offer, then you go through the background investigation and the polygraph. And I said, okay. So it was Near East operations. They decided they were not interested in me, interestingly enough. There was what's called the, I forget what it is. It's like some 6-month program where you just get kind of a smattering of everything, and then they decide where to put you later. They weren't interested. But then I got an offer from the analytic branch that covers North Korea, which I knew literally nothing about, and a branch that Dr. Post created, that does only psychology for the Persian Gulf. And that was a natural fit for me. And then when I started, on my first day, they said, we're going to put you on Iraq.
Wait, did you go to the farm or anything before?
No.
No, they just...
I went to the farm later.
Okay.
Yeah, I was there 4 months before I went to the farm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they hire you, like you've just gone through these
Direct
like 4
hire.
different days where Bob was telling you to go places.
And they did the investigation, they did the polygraph, which freaked me out because I had never had a polygraph exam before, right? And I
what
still...
kind of questions did they ask you?
It's the pre-hire and after your first 3 years are called full lifestyle polygraph. Everything else is called a counterintelligence polygraph. So they only care about unauthorized contact with a foreign intelligence officer. This was all about drinking, smoking, drugs, weird sex, crimes, that kind of thing.
Did you have anything that you thought would be a potential resume breaker in your past? Nothing.
No.
So you didn't have a problem with the polygraphs?
No, blew right through it. There was one question, and I was freaked out when she told me, the polygrapher told me, you're reacting to one question, it's tripping you up, and we're gonna have to ask it again. And I was like, oh my God, please don't let it be the gay question, because how am I gonna explain this to my friends? I blew right through the whole process, except now they think I'm gay, right? So I said, well, what's the question? And she says, it's with your credit card usage. And I said, my credit card usage? I said, I only have but 2 credit cards.
Like I'm poor.
Yeah. Right? I was only making 18 grand a year. Truth. So they asked me again about my credit cards, and I answered truthfully, and then I passed. And they're not supposed to tell you if you pass. So I said, how did I do? And she goes, we're not allowed to say one way or the other. And she winks at me. And I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I made it.
She probably got fired for that.
I made it. I still remember her. She was very attractive young black woman. She's about my age. So Bob called and he said, hey, congrats. Expect a letter from us. And I got the letter and it said, congratulations, you've been hired into the Directorate of Intelligence Office of Leadership Analysis.
And for the Persian Gulf.
For the Persian Gulf. They told me that day I'm going to be working Iraq. And I said, Iraq, okay.
This is like 88 still?
Yeah, this is January 6th of 90.
Oh, so this is right before Desert Storm. Shit's about to get popping out there.
Well, but nobody knew that. And so I said, Iraq, okay. And my boss says, don't be disappointed. These were his exact words. He said, learn the tradecraft, learn the writing style, and then after a year, you can transfer to something more interesting, like Romania. And I said, oh, okay.
Mm.
So...
Did you speak Arabic?
Not yet. So I start working Iraq, and I became Saddam Hussein's intelligence community biographer, right?
Whoa.
Yeah. But who ever heard of Saddam Hussein in January of 1990? So things started heating up, and then I still remember the date. On June 30th, we published a paper in which we said we believed Saddam Hussein was going to attack Kuwait. June 30th. So this was 4.5 weeks before the invasion of Kuwait. And the night before the invasion, man, I was excited. Like I was so energized that I'm gonna be able to make something of myself here. And the senior analyst came over to me and he said, I think you're not understanding the import of what's happening right now. And I said, yeah? He said, it's not unusual for the countries we cover to go to war. It's very unusual for the countries we cover to go to war with us. Mm. The next morning, August the 2nd, 1990, I'm in the shower. Back then, we had these radio showers. They were like plastic waterproof showers you put in, or radios that you put in the shower.
Oh, yeah, I've seen Goodfellas.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Jimmy! Jimmy, you son of a bitch! I just watched that yesterday on the plane. Yesterday. I've watched it 100 times. Goodfellas, greatest movie ever made.
It's pretty fucking awesome. Thank you guys for checking out this clip. If you haven't already subscribed, please subscribe and hit the like button on this video. It is a huge, huge help. And if you'd like to check out this clip's full podcast episode, that link is in the description below or right here. And finally, you can follow me on Instagram and X by using the links in my description below.